Hey, you want to make us watch a movie of your choice?
Wait. They can make us watch movies now?
They can make us watch movies now if they win our contest.
What if they make us watch something like Rise of Skywalker again?
That's not a bad movie.
We are not doing this again.
So, yeah, we did a tier list of every movie we've ever reviewed for the podcast. The person that gets closest wins and gets to pick a movie for us to watch and review.
Obviously, it's got to be something we're legally allowed to watch.
So, no Rise of Skywalker.
Enough.
Why do you do this?
The contest ends on April 22nd at midnight. Only one person per entry. You can find the tier list on all of our social media, Discord, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, etc.
We might even do something for the runner-up. All of this is subject to change at a whim because keeping these two on topic is hard enough.
I stay on topic just fine.
We both know that I wasn't talking about you.
Hey! Who am I kidding?
Screen share and chill.
A podcast about movies.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
3, 2, 1.
Did you get confused of what comes after 3?
No, I was like, for some reason I thought, am I doing this backwards? Do I usually do it 1, 2, 3? No, I do it 3, 2, 1. I don't know. It's
You psyched yourself
it's
out.
early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm drinking my first coffee of the day, so I don't care what time it is on the clock. It's still early in the day for me.
So how are you doing? Are you okay?
I'm doing great. This is Screen Share and Chill, a podcast where we force each other to watch movies. I'm Kelly.
I'm Keith.
I'm Jamie.
And what are we watching this week? What did we watch?
I don't remember. What was it again?
Conan the Destroyer.
Oh, that's right. I
Oh
was
my
blocking it
god.
out.
Who made us watch this garbage? Who did this? Who made this
You
mess?
did.
Conan the Franchise Destroyer? Is that what it was originally called?
Oh, that is a good title.
Oh, poignant and topical and accurate. Oh, well played, sir. Well played. Yeah, he was, this was supposed to be a trilogy of Conan movies. And, after this movie was so bad, at least from Arnold's point of view, that he refused to come back and do a third movie in the Conan series because they butchered, look what you've done to my boy. And they did it immediately after his first movie that he loved, Conan the Barbarian. I would agree. And then he thinks that they took Conan the Destroyer in a horrible, stupid direction for Conan by getting rid of a lot of the seriousness and blood and hard-hitting story and the dark themes. And I would agree with him. And, yeah, that's, this is kind of the franchise destroyer. There never was, again, made another Conan movie with Arnold playing the lead.
It's a bit of a complete tonal shift. It was, I thought it was fun, but the first movie is you take the first movie so much more seriously. I think even if you like it or dislike it, this is not a serious movie.
No, it won't let you take it seriously,
No.
even if you try to. Right off the bat, within 5 minutes, you realize that the whole tone for this movie is very different than what you're used to. Because in Conan the Barbarian, there were some funny bits, but they were sandwiched by huge loaves of serious bread. And in this one, the ratio is completely different. This one is a wrap, where it's all meat and no bread. Wait, that makes it sound like this one's better. It's the other way around.
I like an equal portion of bread with my meat in my sandwiches, you know?
I don't know, it's like there should be a very little bit of bread, just enough bread to get the bread flavor, but I don't want to fill up my tummy with bread. If I want to do that, I just take a loaf of bread and take a bite out of it. Like a barbarian.
What a segue, Kelly.
Yeah, I'm a master at it. I'm a professional.
Yeah.
So this, I picked Conan, the franchise, the 2-movie franchise, because I liked the first movie so much, and I just wanted to review it. I know it's not a perfect movie, but I just wanted to get it out there. I just wanted to talk about it with my friends.
Sure.
The second movie, this was kind of the price that I knew I was going to pay for watching the first movie when I selected it. I still enjoy it. I mean, we'll get to actually like our rating of it as we go. It's not horrible. It's still better than a lot of stuff that came out in the 80s, but I'm sorry, y'all.
Remember that energy.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you end up picking a series, Jamie, and it has one good movie, it's the middle one or something like that. I'll get it. I'll try to be as forgiving as I can because I made you sit through
2 horrible
Conan the
movies.
Destroyer. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa.
You heard my review of the last one.
That. You know, I will let you know that after our phone call in the last episode, we actually got some legal papers from Al's legal department. I can't really talk about it much on the air, but
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Al has his own legal department? That's crazy.
Well, I mean, he had a team of lawyers, apparently. I thought he was just like a window washer or something like that. Turns out he's got some money behind him, and yeah, we might want to... So for the record, Jamie loved Conan the Barbarian, thought it was great. She thought it was well acted, especially. That, a lot of the main characters did a great job. Yeah.
You got any tidbits, like behind the scenes stuff, or are we just gonna jump into it?
How much did it make? What was the box office reception of this?
A lot less than the first one.
Yeah, if you got the numbers on that, go ahead.
Well, this one grossed between 26.4 and 31 million in the United States, and 30 million worldwide. So that's like what, 60, I think. Well, oh no, wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
60.
So like for us looking in from the outside, we look at that as, oh, you only spent 30 million on the movie or whatever you said, and then you made 40 to 60 million or whatever. So that's a success, right? Well, no, because I guess from what I've heard, studio execs just lie about that budget number and they go way over it all the time. So whatever they're reporting as their budget is not actually their budget. It's usually like 2 times that or add 30 million, whichever is lower.
Right, and they don't count marketing in those numbers, all kinds of stuff like
Why?
that.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean,
why wouldn't you?
Seems like it's
add
part
marketing?
of the budget of the movie, right?
So that way they can say, this movie was a success when it wasn't.
Does McDonald's put out a new burger and then they don't count the marketing against the cost of the release? That just sounds like really shitty business. And now all of us have to do extra math because they don't want to be honest. Is really what it is. It's padding the books is what it is. But yeah. So I mean, this movie did not do as well as Conan the Barbarian, and it didn't do well with critics as Conan the Barbarian did, for a lot of the reasons that I've kind of already alluded to a little bit, that it was a complete tonal shift. If Conan the Barbarian had come out looking like this and being kind of like a kids-friendly, family-friendly, they specifically said they wanted Conan the Destroyer to be family-friendly. I don't know if you all watch Conan the Barbarian, but that was not a family-friendly movie.
Absolutely
He's punching
not.
animals, he's chopping snakes in half and bathing in their blood.
There was lots of nudity,
just fucking titties, everywhere. So, like, no, it was not made for families, in the traditional sense, at least. So
they went for a PG rating. All the violence was trimmed out of the movie. There was a sex scene cut. There was a virgin sacrifice that was cut. All kinds of stuff. Like, they filmed it, and then they're like, nah, let's get that out of here. Let's make a movie that's
Isn't
PG.
that like such an indictment of Western values too? That Conan chopping the fuck out of somebody is much more acceptable than Conan having sex with somebody.
Right.
Why? I've never understood that. It's always seemed like such a weird double standard and oddly Puritan in a country that's supposed to be really free of religion stuff. But anyways, off track. A couple small points. One, there is a cameo that even I didn't realize was in this movie until I started doing research for it for the pod, and that's Andre the Giant is in this movie.
Yep.
Love that fact. He's the Dagoth monster at the end. And it still needed 6 people controlling the different... God damn it, I got a siren right next to my house. Is it audible? Can you hear it?
Yep, they're coming to get you.
Yeah. They're coming to take me away.
Ha-ha.
The 2 people in the cast that did most of their own stunts were Wilt Chamberlain and Grace Jones, which, knowing those people's, like, you know, their lead up to this movie, it kind of makes sense. Wilt Chamberlain being a professional athlete, obviously him doing his own stunts is not that, you know, it seems like not that big of a deal. Grace Jones, her being a fucking international supermodel, and I mean, what else did she do? I'm not as familiar with.
She's a singer, also, isn't she? Like,
Yeah. But I mean, you would never think like, oh, of course she's rough and tumble and she can do her own stunts with that being her background. But hell yeah, I mean, and straight up, she is in my good list. I mean, we'll get there, but she's amazing. I love her in this movie. I think.
Did anyone watch In Living Color growing up?
Yes.
A little bit.
I think they have like a dating show thing, and they have Grace Jones, someone's playing Grace Jones on the dating show thing. I think it was a dating show. Don't hold me to that. But they based the entire performance on the way she acted in this movie specifically. It's incredibly funny.
I would love it.
Yeah.
What would you do on a date? Take him.
Yeah.
And grab him.
Right. Yeah. It's that kind of thing. It's very funny. I suggest you look
And
it up.
just like her hand motions when she says this shit, like, take him, and she like grabs nothing in front of her and like her eyes get big, like she's gonna just like bite into it and tear its jugular out or something. Like, oh, love it. Some more trivia. Olivia Dabo, the woman that plays Jenna, she was taught some off-screen defense techniques by Arnold Schwarzenegger during the filming of this movie. It seems like such a wholesome piece of trivia, but I don't know. That's all I'm going to say on that. Grace Jones and Wilt Chamberlain did not get along during this movie.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. They, apparently there was, such a big rift between them that they had to, like, separate them at times. I mean, not separate them physically, but, like, keep them on opposite sides of the set. Like, when we're waiting, you go stand over there and you go stand over there. Don't. Yeah. And part of the problem was that Grace Jones was showing up to a lot of the stuff with a boombox blaring music, and Wilt Chamberlain thought that was disrespectful. One of those where I find myself kind of agreeing with both sides in a way, you know, like, yeah, we already talked about how Arnold was so upset with the way this movie went that he promised them he would not be doing another Conan movie. And then later on, it sounds like he tried and he wanted to, but nobody wants to. Basically, the film studio that did this, I don't think they're even around anymore, right? They completely went under. Yeah, like, that's funny. If you go to the Wikipedia page, the production company, Dino De Laurentiis company, it doesn't click. It doesn't lead anywhere. It doesn't even have a "we need information." Wikipedia's like, no, we're good. We don't
want any information about this.
I could tell you all about the Dino De Laurentiis company. No, thanks. We're fine. We've got everything we need.
He himself has an entry, and it's probably tucked in there.
Yeah. I mean, he was a self-financed producer and financier of some early movies. He did some really good stuff, like Conan the Barbarian. Shut up, Jamie. He did some real stinkers, too. So, he's a good example, I guess, if you had somebody that was in here, like a historian for Hollywood or an economist or something like that, they might point out that Dino De Laurentiis probably would be a good example of the risky quality of Hollywood business and how it can ruin a man if he's not careful.
And how
ruin a person if they're not careful.
And how studio intervention can ruin a franchise.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. If they would have left this alone, they might have built 3 good movies. And, and now we understand, too, that if you get... hey, there was no denying that the first movie was well-liked. You might not have liked it, but a lot of people did.
A lot of men.
And if you were to keep... Yes, absolutely. And strangely enough, there seems to be a lot of men in the world. So they were able to buy lots of tickets.
Close to 50% of the population, sources say.
Sometimes some might say that we're about 50% of the entire global population. Some might say the entire human race has been about 50%.
Whoa, these numbers are mind-blowing.
Yeah, so I mean, it did pretty well. It did pretty well. I'm joshing. It did pretty well, and I think that if they would have built off of that, like if they could have continued that dark theme and had a little bit of a serialized format to it, doesn't need a lot, but just a little bit, I think they could have really built a franchise, and that could have been the foundation for a good production company. Like, they didn't need all the extra stuff. They could have been the fucking Conan production company, and they would have done fine. He was a superstar in The Rising, and they had him for super, super cheap because he believed in in the product that they were making. And they fumbled it. They unforced fumble. They just dropped the fucking ball.
Oh, hello there, dear listener. I hardly noticed you over all of my coolness. Do you want to be cool too? Well, what would make you incredibly cool is to share our pod with someone that you love, or with someone that you hate, depending on how you feel about the podcast.
He's right, We're a solid gift for people you love and hate.
Research has shown that when you share us with your friends and enemies, you feel 100% more satisfied in your life.
I have heard that study. It was a recent study. It was really remarkable work.
You know what else you can do? You could subscribe to us.
Oh my God, is that really?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a
You
huge
could subscribe?
It's a huge ask. What a big ask.
It's not really. It's super easy. You just hit the little button. Boom. We show up in your podcaster thingy every single week without you even having to think about it.
Now that you mention it, it is pretty easy. Just hit the subscribe button. Like, how many buttons we hit to bring you this hit content every week?
You're going to be asking them to set it to auto download so that we are just waiting.
You know what? Yeah.
You are so
I'm
smart.
cool with that. You know how much work we put into making, the least they can do is share it with their friends and hit the download button, subscribe. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
We're trying to make it easier for you in the long run.
Yes, we're just trying to help you.
I'm just trying to help you.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you do, motherfucker.
Yeah, and while we're tasking you with all these chores, you might as well come yell at us about it on social media. We are on YouTube. We are on Blue Sky, not the bad place. We have a fresh, brand new Insta. We're on Facebook, so you can come share your slop AI images that your grandma sends you with us. We'll be happy to take them and discuss them. We have a Discord where you can come chat and post and interact with us. Tell us how wrong we are about our opinions on movies and post your page-long essays.
Or how very right I am.
I'm waiting for people to tell you how wrong you really are about Rise of Skywalker, but yeah, right now you're sitting easy because nobody's bringing up this huge gap that you have in your logic.
Hey, I hope no one brings up my huge gap.
Dirty.
It's not something that I like to talk about in public.
Well, you picked the wrong hobby to pick up, my friend. We also have a Ko-Fi page, ko-fi.com/screenshare, where you can buy us a coffee, rent us a movie, and a bunch of other stuff too. So, I mean, even if you don't want to spend the money, there are ways you can help us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can get on and give us a review. You can tell Keith how wrong he is in reviews. You can tell Kelly how wrong he is in reviews. You can tell me how right I am in reviews. You can talk about all of it.
Why don't we spin this positively a little bit? Can we be, let's try this again. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Because we all know that I'm the one that everybody agrees with. Always, all the time.
It seems to be the case so far. Yeah, really. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it is, you're not lying.
So really what you could just do is leave a review that tells everybody how amazing you think our podcast is, and that's why you listen to it every week. We'd love that. We'd love that in participation, and we might even read your review in an upcoming episode.
But if you do want to spend the money, we are totally fine with that. We could use the support. That's why we put these ads in here, to try to drum up a little extra support for this pod that you know and love, that we've been working with you for a year, putting out quality content every week. Mm-hmm. And some of the ways you can support us is on ko-fi.com/screenshare, where you can rent us a movie. You can force us to watch a movie and review it. Be prepared. We might not always like it. You can make us read a message that you type out to us. We can play a recorded message. Again, all of these are within reason. We're not going to say anything horrible or mean to anyone in particular, unless it's really, really funny, I guess. And also, if you have a small business or a podcast or something that you want to promote, you can absolutely buy some ad time with us too. So look for us on ko-fi.com/screenshare, and you can find out all about those financial ways that you can help support the pod.
And hey, you know what?
We'll even propose to your future fiance for you if you pay us enough.
Right. It doesn't need to be a business you're advertising. Did you write a poem that you really like? We'll read it. We might snicker a little bit, but
Hey, no, we'll give an honest try to not mock any art that people send us, because that's art is a sacred place for all of us here. So,
and art is always subjective. So just because one person doesn't like it doesn't mean another won't.
Except for the Rise of Skywalker. Except for the Rise of Skywalker, which is objectively good.
Oh no! We'll save that for the pod. But thank you all for joining us, and now back to your regular scheduled rambling.
Back to the show. All right, enough of this bullshit. Let's talk about the good.
All right, well, I have a ton of good. So I will, last time we did it, Keith, because you thought I have the most good, I should go last. I know that I have the most, so I'm going to try to fit in as many as I can, and then y'all can toss in, because I don't know how many. I'm assuming Jamie has like 3.
That is the exact number I have.
Hey, I'm a psychic.
Wonderful.
So some of my goods, I hit on it earlier. I just want to get it out of the way so we don't have to keep coming back to it, even though I probably will. Grace Jones was fucking cool as hell. Like, I hope that it doesn't come across as some kind of racist caricature. I did look up a couple places to see if anybody had like discussions about Grace Jones' presentation, and if it was, whether it was like, what do we talk about? Like cultural appropriation or cultural appreciation kind of thing. Like how I didn't know, but if it's not icky, and I don't see anybody really complaining too much that it is, then I fucking love her character. Like, from a little kid's point of view, I thought that character, well, I mean, I was probably like 10, but yeah, still a kid, and I thought she was fucking cool, and I wanted to, like, she was one of the people in the party that I wanted to impress. She and Conan were the real heroes. She was the only one that really was as good-hearted as Conan was, or as heroic as Conan was. So, fucking Grace Jones, amazing job. Zula, the character, fucking great. I wish we would have seen more of the series, maybe just to see more of her, if anything else.
I have in my good column that Conan cutting her loose was enough because he got to look at her and respected her enough to be like, well, this is all she needs. It's her against like 10 men and she's tied up, and Conan's like, okay, well, if I cut her loose, that evens it.
Yeah, Conan, in the comic books, talks a lot more. He's much more charismatic in the comic books. But I love the fact that because of Arnold's speech impediment, and they were having such a difficult time with him in the first movie, they kind of turned Conan into this man that speaks through eye glances and actions and single words and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it was so wholesome that he comes up and he just chops the thing and looks at her, and she nods and he nods and gives her a little grin, and then that's done. And they both know that we're at least pseudo friends at this point, because I saw what was happening to you was wrong. I fixed it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
If nothing else, there's a mutual respect established instantly.
Right.
Absolutely. Even later on, and this is one of the things in my good column too, when he goes and finds the wizard, I love the simple exchange where the wizard comes out and he's like, oh, what are you doing here, kind of thing, and Conan says, I need you, and the wizard says, I'm yours. And that's it. That's it. Yep. He has such loyalty for Conan. All Conan had to do is say, I need you right now. I'm good. When do we leave? I'm ready to go. All right, somebody else give me a good.
Apologizing to the camel from the first movie and then punching it again.
Jesus Christ.
That was very good. I got a smile from me.
It got a chuckle from me. It also, like, it still rang that cringe bone that I have somewhere in my body that... Like when we watch Star Wars and they say, I've got a bad feeling about this. And I'm like, and you're like, yay. That is one of those moments for me. I was like,
You know what? I'm glad that you said that, because this is also in my good column. But speaking of Star Wars, man, this movie is on the same level of pulpiness as A New Hope. I feel like there's a lot of that serialized pulp that's making its way into this movie. Yeah. To me, that's a good thing, because I like that sort of thing. You know, it's like a couple of things. He's got another thief friend. You know, we have the sort of in media res start thing happening, but also an old buddy. He shows up, and the wizard, you know, saves him from being cannibalized.
We're catching him in between adventures.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and you know what? That's what I'm saying. Like, the style for Conan the Destroyer, if they would have established this in the Barbarian, would we just be seeing the whole franchise a little bit differently? You know, I mean, maybe I judge this too harshly because Conan the Barbarian was so different. Maybe I would have appreciated this, because, I mean, there were other sword and sorcery movies that were a little bit hammy, like this, that came out in the 80s, that I didn't mind as much. Like Beastmaster and shit like that were obviously not good movies, but I enjoyed them because they were fun, and there was enough humor that you didn't get bored staring at people being super serious and dour all the time.
Right.
Yeah, this movie was certainly, while it's a lesser film than the first one, in my opinion, it's more fun of a film. It's not as dour. It's a little more bouncy. That's the only way I have to describe it. A little more pep in its stuff, a little less serious.
It's more respectful of your time.
Certainly.
That too.
that can go in the good column.
It has a more of a actual comic book feel to it, to me.
It does.
Like it felt
really
more
does.
like a comic book movie than the original did.
It's brighter. Mm-hmm. The color saturation is more, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a more colorful comic booky movie. So, yeah, I'm right there. From the hammy conversations to the how colorful all the sets are, which that is another one of my goods, is the sets. I think I had to look up, like, shit, how much of this did they build and how much of this did they go to location? I was like, this temple, is this a location somewhere in the world I can go visit? Holy shit. But, yeah. So.
I have
That's one of my goods too. The scenes and vistas and sets.
Yeah, I have sets in my good column. I also have sets in my ugly column, because there's a couple of sets in here that were like, okay, that's a little That's a little weak.
Some of the external shots were done at the same place, location-wise, and at the same time as Dune, 1984.
Wow.
Their sets were taking turns on the landscapes, or I think it was the external scenes. So yeah,
That makes sense in a way. I can see that.
That little bit of DNA that they kind of share. These
Right.
fantasy movies from the 80s, whether it's fantasy sci-fi or fantasy medieval, like they there's a certain gloss to the camera almost, it's not a bad thing even. It's just everything looks a certain way, except Arnold is huge.
It's soap opera camera.
Yeah,
That's
kind of with a little bit of depth of field or something that makes it look just a little bit more professional. But
all right, I'm curious to hear some of Jamie's good, or one of Jamie's good.
Well,
Since
you
she's
heard
apparently
one,
got
'cause
we've
very-
exhausted
The scenes
we've
and the
exhausted
vistas.
33% of her list of good already.
The
We're
Queen's,
talking about anything that didn't have characters in it. I had a great time.
the runtime.
you know what's hilarious is that they are all not character driven.
Oh God! Did I call it or what?
The Queen's costumes, those were badass. Like, they were really great. I really enjoyed all of her costuming, all the choices they made for the Queen's costumes.
Yeah, and she was supposed to be she had the sex scene with Arnold.
That would make sense.
Yeah, they were trying to build her up as a very, sexy, beautiful woman. I mean, and they did a good job. The woman herself, the actor, she's obviously beautiful. But it feels like that's what this movie feels a little bit weird to me, because the focus instead for this movie, the one we watched, has more of the sexual focus on Jenna.
The child.
And this is she's 15 years old.
Yes.
The actor is 15 years old. And in the script, she's too young to be with a man and all that stuff. Like, she's not even ready to be married off in this fantasy world. So she's got to be, so it feels like a weird, we're going to make it family friendly. Instead of everybody having the hots for the 30-year-old woman, let's have everybody have the hots for the teenager.
Right.
I was like, okay, all right. That's family friendly, I guess.
Kill Bill siren.
Yeah, that's an easy one to figure out. But.
And then my final good note was when the statue came to life at the end. That was done really well, I thought. Like, especially for the 80s. It was very believable and well done.
Needed an epilepsy warning.
A lot of 80s movies do, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the first time we've made that point.
I'm right there with you. I'm kind of curious, were you surprised when the statue came to life and turned into a fucking demon the first time watching it?
Maybe a little bit. I mean...
Yeah, I'm not I'm not sure how any of these things land for a first-time viewer.
Like, I don't know that that's what I absolutely expected, but I wasn't totally shocked. Like, oh my goodness. What? No.
Yeah.
Everything,
right on.
everything about Dagoth is in my good column. It's very, kaiju-esque, even the transformation in that horn, and it's slimy, and it looks like an old school Godzilla adversary, except it's roughly man-sized, played by Andre the Giant, uncredited. I'm all in for slimy rubber monsters. That's my meat and potatoes growing up.
The horn being pulled off at the end?
Yeah.
That was
Oh my God,
gruesome.
so gruesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. That's why I'm with you that everything involving Dagoth, and let's go even a step further, not even the special effects stuff, like the name, the pseudo lore behind him, how this was all some weird quest for him to try to come back to the world kind of thing. They took Conan in a very logical direction lore-wise. He went from slaughtering the servant of a serpent god to slaughtering an ancient horn god.
Right.
Okay, so basically he's roaming the world and slaughtering gods. It's not that hard fetched for us to believe that he ends up being a king of a small kingdom later.
And I wonder if that is somewhat Lovecraft influence, because there's a Lovecraft old god named Dagon, and it's kind of fish based, and I noticed that Dagoth had those fish fins on his arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought I remember reading somewhere, and this might be purely wrong. I don't know. I'm not going to research it because I'm too lazy to do that. But I heard somewhere that Dagoth was actually an old Sumerian legend too, or something like that. Something very ancient for humans, even. And that would be in line with how Robert Howard and the Conan movie producers wrote their stories, because. Like I said, it was the first Conan story that I ever read was the Aram story, and that was the Frost Giant's daughter, which actually the Frost Giant was, another version was the Frost King. He was kind of considered a god of the North, and Conan picked a fight with him because he wanted to sleep with his goddaughter. So, well, not really. It's oversimplifying the story, but anyways.
One of the good things about this movie is it really felt like a classic sort of D&D adventuring party once all the characters were in play. You got your barbarian, you got a thief, you got a wizard, you have like a warrior, and you have basically a paladin. The way they sort of looked when they're walking through all the sets and the places that they're visiting, just striking the pose looks like you could probably take several stills from this movie and slap them on the cover of a 1980s Dungeons and Dragons module, adventure module.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even the way the story is set up. We gotta go to the place, and we do an underwater dive to find the secret entrance to get the gem that's gonna open the door, and the next dungeon that we have to go to. It was very...
It was very MacGuffin heavy. I was not a big fan of that, but yeah, it does feel very D&D. That's the thing is, like, if you're running a game and you're DMing, kind of the thing is there's always going to be MacGuffins.
Sure. You
have to find a way to make sure the MacGuffin matters to the group.
Uh-huh.
Like, if you can find a way that the group is like, we have to go seek out this MacGuffin, and you didn't suggest it to them, bravo, you've done your job. And this movie does not do a great job of that for me.
No.
Because basically she just tricks Conan into going and getting this MacGuffin. There's no, they haven't convinced me, the audience, why it's important to go get it. So I don't really care that he's going on this adventure. So there's less. Whereas in the first movie, every time Conan was going somewhere, I'm rooting for him because of all the bullshit he went through when he was a kid and all that stuff,
Sure, I'm just talking about the sort of D&D aesthetics, and I actually I looked into this. We talk about how responsible Lord of the Rings is for D&D stuff. Equally as responsible, it turns out, are the Howard stories and the Conan the Barbarian stuff. It's where the terms sword and sorcery comes from.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's it's a heavy lifter alongside Lord of the Rings in D&D tropes. I did not know that until I was looking into this, because it just felt very much like that, and that's a sort of drawn directly from the books. You might say that this is, while maybe not executed as well as the first movie, a better representation of the sort of style of the stories of the comics and the books.
And being a sociologist, like, we love anthropology too, because it's just the study of old sociology, kinda. And this is such a unique view in how cultures they have a DNA to them, and it takes time to, like, weed it out even if you're actively trying to, because, okay, the reason why I bring it up is, Robert Howard, the guy that created the Conan franchise back in the 30s or whatever it was, 20s, he has been described by several people as extremely racist and extremely sexist. Some might argue that in his writings, some might argue that in his writings, all of the depictions of people of dark skin are all very primitive and very, like, there's animalistic qualities about them, obviously very racist views. All the women that are brought into the story don't have any agency, they're just very sexual, and they are kind of prizes to be won by the hero at the end of the story. They have different personalities, but it's usually, like, one-dimensional at best. So then, okay, we accept that this is a different time, and he was raised in a culture that was not as aware of sexism and racism and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so now here we go, fast forward into the 80s, and what was Jamie saying in the last movie? That it feels kind of sexist. When I look at Grace Jones' character in this movie, I'm worried that this feels a little bit racist in depiction of African people, kind of thing. Or maybe it isn't, I don't know, but it's that DNA, and then you do see that in the current day, in the year of our Lord 2020, whatever, or beyond, people are probably still staggering with the amount of misogyny and sexism at, like, Comic-Con or at fantasy fairs, or if you go to the Renfest like I do. There are a lot of people that are very progressive minded there, but there's also a lot of right-wing sentiment there. It's not uncommon to see a MAGA patch on somebody's armor, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
That's crazy.
So I think it's interesting that you see that even though we have evolved a lot as a subculture, or whatever you want to call the fantasy nerds, there's some of that DNA in there that I don't know if it will ever fully shake it. I don't know. I
absolutely love the visual of that crystal castle on the lake, where Emond, the wizard, is, like when they're riding along the beach and you just see it out there. That's so, like, you know, album cover, module cover, whatever you want to call it. The aesthetics are just like,
Yeah.
very, very good.
Oh, Jamie just found some information for us. I don't know if you want to tell us about this. It's kind of funny because both of us were kind of indirectly correct. But go ahead, Jamie. Tell us what you found.
So I did find that Dagon, or Dagan, was a West Semitic god of agriculture and fertility, particularly associated with the Philistines and Amorites, and also appears in the Cthulhu mythos of H.P. Lovecraft as a monstrous sea deity.
There you go.
Congrats, you were both correct.
They're getting better, you know. You've got to admit it. They are getting better.
Oh, and maybe we should point out that this is the AI overview.
Yes,
so
it is
could be
AI.
completely fucking wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Well-
it could be like nothing even kind of close.
Yeah. The AI that tells people that if you have an upset stomach, a spoonful of bleach might.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's
better,
like
shit like that.
it's like healthy for pregnant women to eat rocks and shit
Yeah.
like that.
Right, exactly.
How do I measure the rocks? How do I get them down? Google, help me. How do I swallow these rocks? How do I swallow all of these rocks?
A little bit of fish oil will help.
Saute with butter.
Why did this pregnant woman try to swallow rocks? News at 11. All right, so more goods because I figure I probably have more than y'all.
Oh, yeah.
The wizard duel.
Yes, I have that in my good
thought-
column.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun where the two wizards are fighting over the flame skull entrance, and it's all kind of, they didn't have to put spirits floating around, they didn't have to have fireballs shooting out, it was a test of wills, and they were both just like fighting each other's like psychic power kind of thing.
I liked it because it was like the mouth was lowering and then raising, and you know, it was one of those sort of.
Yeah. It was a little campy, again, consistent with the movie itself. And this is where maybe I'm a little bit more forgiving of the wizard, Akiro. He's now given a name in this movie. But Akiro, he's kind of the hammy one even in the first movie. He's allowed to be a little bit funny. It's when everybody else is being funny that's a little bit, sometimes it's a bit too much. Or there are a couple of characters I just fucking hate when we get there.
Me too. Is there is he the narrator? Is the wizard the narrator?
Yes. He has been the narrator from the very beginning of the first movie.
Yeah.
In a time when the oceans drank and let, that's his voice.
I was pleased to hear the Days of High Adventure again. That's a good common thread.
I knew you would be.
It feels like the whole thing is hurried at the beginning. Like they're doing the intro, but the drum beat is faster. He's speaking quicker, and then the actual song is a little bit faster. And I'm like, oh, so we're in a hurry. Got it. We're trying to cut down this runtime. And maybe just because I've heard the soundtrack a million times, but I could tell it was a good 10, 20 BPM quicker than the first movie. Noticeable.
Thank goodness.
I was a big fan of the wizard tower, the wizard of mirrors, the illusionists. I love seeing wizards that aren't just elementalists in movies and in fantasy. Just to show you that a high-level illusionist in D&D is very powerful. You're going to have a hard time killing that motherfucker. You'll never find him. And part of the reason is these little things that he tries to set up, these little traps, and we did a really good job with him.
It was a cool fight in that, like, that, the sort of, we'll talk about this a little more, the costuming, the, like, gorilla makeup or whatever.
That's in the bad.
Yeah,
that's in the bad.
That's in the bad.
Straight up.
But, as he's breaking the mirrors, cuts are appearing on that, creature.
That's in the good.
Yes, that's a cool little detail.
Yeah, that's why I was like, the wizard himself, the wizard's solution, and a lot of the effects around him, fucking great. The actual makeup and costume for when he came out as that lizard gorilla thing, fucking stupid. That was horrible. Like, I've seen carnival performers that look better than that, you know, so, another thing in that scene, and I'm gonna pipe it in here in the pod for y'all to hear it, because I think the background music during the wizard castle assault is incredible. It's some of the most beautiful music. He has a whole bunch of wonderful pieces from the Conan series, and this is one of my favorites. It's up there with the battle scenes in Conan 1 and stuff, but you'll see eventually. The two of you probably don't remember it, but when you listen to the pod later, you'll hear it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love hearing that.
Yeah, see, I told you you'd love it. Told you. Another small little thing from the wizard scene is I really enjoyed seeing when after he died and they pulled up the cloak and it was just a bunch of broken mirrors underneath. That was beautiful. Jamie was convinced, and I think you said when we were watching it that's why this franchise failed, because they broke so many mirrors and they got 7 years of bad luck for each one.
Yep.
So they got like 180 bad years in front of them.
Like the franchise died, the production company died. Like, don't break mirrors. Don't do it. Break glass, make it look like mirrors.
Arnold acting drunk is always a pleasure for me to see in movies.
Yes.
He's so fucking goofy. And the line, the promise I was kingdomed is so stupid.
I mean, the kingdom I was promised.
Yeah, it's so dumb that it makes me smile. I can't help it.
My favorite in there is,
I suppose nothing hurts you.
only pain.
Oh, yeah, only pain.
And he says it like, well, duh.
Yep.
That one did get me. I did laugh at that one.
And I think that is, I'm gonna, while I talked about the music, one last thing is the music is still very good in this. It's a lot of recycled themes. I don't think they made the greatest choice in recycling some themes. It felt like they tried to cut some fat off of the budget by not letting them re-record some new things. But we'll get into that in the next session if everybody else is done with the goods.
My final good is just the line that he had where he said, death to the world, life to Valeria. Which, like, he doesn't care what happens as long as he gets his lady love back.
And that kind of differentiates him as not a mindless barbarian that will just, like, fuck anything that moves or kill anything that moves. And, like, no, he'll kill anything that moves. But he's not, like, even when the sex object of this movie, as much as I hate to say this, but as much as the sex object of this movie throws herself at him, he's not interested.
Yep.
He doesn't, I don't give a shit about you. I'm already in love. Well, she's dead. Yep. I can't change that. It doesn't mean I don't love her anymore. So it makes him a bit more heroic, even though, I don't know. I'm poly, so I personally don't give a shit about that kind of commitment, but whatever.
It's also a nice through line between the movies that we're still, they didn't just erase, Valeria. That's still on his mind and in his heart. Yeah.
And she still informs a lot of his decision making to this day. And, I don't know whether she was a complicated, nuanced enough character to be worth that level of, but I don't know. Well, that's a whole different conversation.
That leads us to the bad. One of my first bad notes is the horrible green screen of Valeria burning on the pyre. It's just like completely like.
What are you talking about? I was convinced I was like, oh my god, that poor actor, she's burning, someone save her.
There's like a dark outline around her. Poorly cut. Some of the visual effects, some of the digital, the mashups of filmed and green screen in this movie. Way worse than the first one, I gotta say.
Yeah, my first bad note is green screen. Boo! Because it was just, it was so obvious at times when they're crossing the lake in their little rowboat and shit. Like,
Yes, that was bad.
Yeah.
My first bad note is the horse riding right in the beginning with the bouncing that they were doing.
The boob muscles!
To try to convince you that they were riding a horse that was not convincing at all.
The boob muscles, oh my god, that's my second note is Conan flexing his boob muscles to simulate horse riding. It looked like he was like,
yes.
You know that thing that bodybuilders do where they go boing, boing, boing with their boobs, one bounces than the other? Well, it's like he was doing that, but he was trying to time it with the horse steps or something. It was so stupid.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
I mean, I like Arnold. I think Arnold's a fucking fun actor in a lot of fucking movies, but that was one of those where I'm like, oh my god, why are you doing that? How did this make this into the movie? Go back and watch it again. You'll see the boob bounce. It's horrible.
In that first fight where I guess it's the Queen's men testing Conan to make sure he's the right candidate or whatever, they rush at him with a net and he slices down with his sword and screams his barbarian scream, and there's a cutting sound. That net didn't cut.
Nope.
I watched it just bunch to the ground, and if they would have kept on riding, it still would have tripped him and got him regardless.
Exactly.
It's clear as day.
As a kid, I was a stupid kid enough where I'm like, oh, there must be something I'm not understanding with this. Now I watch it as an adult, and I'm like, no, they fucked up the stunt. They didn't redo it.
Yeah. Or they were just
that rope did not pull apart.
Enough. That's good enough.
Yeah, it's close enough. We understand what's supposed to be happening.
Nobody's paying that close of attention.
Yeah, we need to add more jokes. More jokes!
Little did they know we would have a podcast one day and be paying attention.
Oh, their just desserts are coming upon their face. I meant to say their plate.
Rephrase.
We're serving them plates of dessert.
Sure, Jan.
Wait, go ahead, Jamie. What's some of your bad?
One of my bads is the extra crotch padding that they put on Conan that makes it look like he's wearing a diaper so that they could make his crotch look bigger.
Also, like, part of their costuming mantra, the director of this movie said one of the worst things about the first Conan is that he was wearing too much clothes, too much of the time. So this movie, I made sure he was 99% naked the entire time. And I was like, really? That's a goal for you? Like, it doesn't have to make sense. Like, they're in an ice palace and Conan's walking around with a fucking diaper on. Like, he would not put a fucking fur over his shoulders or something? This doesn't make any goddamn sense.
And then the costuming changes weirdly. Like, he'll be in the middle of a scene and all of a sudden he's got pants on. Like, where did those come from? Where did you find pants in the middle of this scene?
That too.
Yeah, I was a little thrown by all that. Like, it was just like, we want him to wear pants. He can only be pantsless for like 98% of the movie. If we hit more than 98%, it's going to get an R rating. So throw
Little
pants
did
on
we
him.
know off-screen Conan is like this fashion diva and he's really concerned about how his junk looks in his outfits, and like he always makes sure he carries a mirror with him everywhere, and like they have to stop. We stop now, and they pull over on the side of the road and he takes off his loincloth and puts on the pants and does a little pose like dip hip. And, you know, let's one leg forward, one leg back. Okay, no, I don't like this going back into the loincloth.
Twist inside.
Everybody's on the street just waiting, like, is he doing the thing with the... Yep, he's doing the diaper thing again. Everybody tell him his junk looks nice when he gets back, please. Not you, Jenna. Don't say anything about his junk.
Cut! Conan has filled his diaper again. We need to get a change on set.
Yeah, cut, Arnold. Your junk is slightly to the left. We know that it's supposed to be to the right. That's in the Bible of the story right here.
In the notes.
No, you can't tell because it literally looks like he's wearing a diaper.
It's just
so puffy and filled out.
Bubble wrap. He's got bubble wrap in his fucking diaper, and that's the tough guy.
The fucking thief guy is woefully miscast, in my opinion. It's hard, hard to hear what he's saying half the time. His jokes don't land.
They feel dubbed. Everything he says felt dubbed to me.
Like, the writing is okay for a thief character. Like, it's supposed to be funny that every time he's like, shouldn't someone stay back and watch the horses or whatever? But it's not funny from him. It's just fucking annoying.
I will say I'm in agreement with you, but it's not the right category for me to talk about him. That's all I'm gonna say.
I have another note about him in the ugly column. My only ugly note.
I think we'll all agree on some of the things about him.
Jamie, let's hear another bad from you.
Honestly, those are all the bads that I wrote down. There was a lot of bad. Wilt Chamberlain's hair. Again, let me go back to the hair.
Why does he need it? Why don't you just let him have his natural hair? What's wrong with his natural hair?
What I love hate about it. And what I love hate about it is that they're like, oh, they're barbarians. Their hair would be unkempt. So go into the costumes department and in the trash where they threw away all the wigs that they couldn't detangle, pull those out. That's what we're going to use.
Yeah.
Because that's what it feels like. It's just like a tangled wig that nobody wanted to mess with.
And it's completely unnecessary for a man of his stature. And if his name is all over it. So it's not like you're trying to hide that it's Wilt Chamberlain. Right. Go ahead and let him have a little bit of Wilt Chamberlain's appearance. Wilt Chamberlain was a pretty big motherfucker and he would have been imposing without fucking wigs and extra,
Yeah.
We need to make his nose more imposing. No, leave his nose alone. He looks fine,
His acting left a lot to be desired.
He's an athlete trying to act.
Yeah, exactly. But I've seen where people are decent at it. He was not. He was very wooden.
It kind of came across for the character, but I agree that anybody that says they like Bambata, they're doing more of the work than Wilt Chamberlain was doing.
Yes. Yes.
So. I actually, what I liked about Bambata was that they kind of kept you guessing. Is he actually a helper, or is he does he have nefarious intentions.
Right.
Or is he just a little bit jealous of Arnold, but his heart is in the right place and he has to learn to accept Arnold? But then you figure out that no, his plan all along was to use Arnold, or use Conan, and then put him underneath the mountain or leave him somewhere, kill him somewhere.
Because they did a pretty good job of it where they're escaping and like he pulls the lever to close the door before Conan is through, but Conan then steps through, so it's kind of like maybe he won't make it through this if I pull this lever, but of course...
The one fight where he starts like slashing at him, but as soon as everybody notices, he stops. Sorry, I thought you were one of the bad guys. I just had bloodlust at the time. But then you find out that their whole reason was because they can't give Valyria to Conan, so we don't want him to come back. Otherwise, he's going to try to kill us when he gets back.
When he realizes that we lied.
I was not a fan of the music choice. I'll bring it up now. So, like, in the first movie, they had the orgy scene, and the orgy music kind of had, like, a Roman, like, party feel to it, like a little bit of a jauntiness to it. And in this movie, they had the religious ceremony, and they brought the orgy music into the religious ceremony. And I'm like, I get what you're going for, because we're looking at the villains near the end of the movie like we were in the first movie, and the villains are all going along their plan like they think everything's fine, so it's calm music. But there's no connection between this religious ceremony and the drunken cannibalist orgy that was happening.
There is. That's supposed to call that back to mind to keep the illusion of PG, but makes you think of the very R-rated scene from the last movie.
It felt like shorthand that didn't quite land, and it felt like more like the producers were like, we can just recycle this song. We don't have to commission him to write a whole new song for the scene. We can shave $2,000 off the budget by just using the same music. And you know what? For most people, they didn't even notice.
Lazy production?
Yeah, and you know what? It probably works, because most people probably didn't even fucking notice, and it probably didn't impact their view of the scene. I'm the weirdo that actually notices and went, ew. No, an orgy song should not be played during a ceremony where you're summoning a god. Those are two different feelings. But
maybe you're summoning a god with an orgy.
I am the god of chits and wine.
My last two bad notes are when they wake up and what was the girl's name? The princess?
Jenna.
When they wake up and Jenna's been kidnapped, they look around and they go, "Where is she? In there?" And they all point to the castle, and it's like the only thing within miles. It's like, no shit. That's probably where she is. Fucking genius.
And I can imagine somebody picking up a rock and going, "Wait, maybe she's under here." No, no. I guess she must be in the castle that we were going towards this whole time. And so, the dominant feature in the landscape that you can see from hundreds of miles in every direction,
which is probably the worst place to take somebody you're going to kidnap, anyways.
Right?
Yeah, like, he probably would have had better luck putting her under a rock, but no. He put her in the magic castle that was literally, like, that's where they were heading anyways. Such a weird MacGuffin. They didn't even need to do that. They could have just left her with the party. It would have affected nothing in the story, but whatever.
And then related to that is so this Crystal Cave set is kind of cool, and they lay her down on this, like, crystal stone bed that has sheets from, like, bedding from TJ Maxx, like, clearly commercially quilted stuff. It's like
the finest the 80s could afford, let me tell you, my friend.
It's completely out of character of the sets and the time period that we're looking at. And I just couldn't fathom why they, like, it must have been the day of the shoot, and they're like, we have no dressing for the bed. And
it's like a down comforter with sequins on it and shit.
It's like that stitch
it's got
pattern
a very stitched, a quilted stitch pattern that is incredibly noticeable.
I was waiting to see the Hall & Oates poster in the background, and
I laughed out loud looking at that.
That's
so out of place.
Good call. Yeah. I thought the ending scenes were kind of a good, kind of a bad. I bring up again here the epilepsy and seizure warning, because the final scenes, a lot of it, if you go back and watch it, I think it's movie magic, but if you're actually going back and watching the final scene, the big fight, it's like 1/3 Conan fighting, Arnold fighting Andre the Giant with a horn on his head, and 2/3 we're looking at different people in the scene that are looking off camera, and we're just seeing wind gusting in their face and lightning flashing. And that's all we're seeing. We get to see what the wizard looks like looking at him going, oh, and we get to see what the thief looks like looking at him going, oh. Everybody's just looking at what's happening, and they were just, it felt like padding to me a little bit, and I'm like, really? You had to pad? It was only an hour and 30-minute movie. you needed to pad time to make it that.
Right.
Like, it didn't add to the fight at all. And all I was thinking, like, all this does is put them at more liability for somebody having a seizure in the fucking fight. So,
but in the 80s, they wouldn't have attributed it to the movie. They would have been like, this person had a seizure.
This person's got ghosts in their blood. They should do some cocaine about it.
Right.
Here, let me give you some cocaine. That'll fix that right up.
Yeah, in the 80s, cocaine probably would be one of the first things somebody suggests.
Oh, you should do more coke, buddy. That'll get you through that rough patch, no problem. Let's talk about the no good, dirty, down bad, ugly.
So I'll start the ugly because my ugly actually starts with one of the things that you guys both had in the bad. And that was that gorilla wizard thing that I just called it red tits.
Yeah.
Because that's all you could notice about it was just like red tits. It was weird, and that was number one in my ugly.
I put Lizard Man Gorn, and anybody that's seen Star Trek will know what I mean. If you've ever seen, even those of you that are not as familiar with Star Trek, if you think about Captain Kirk facing that weird lizard man in the desert and how cheesy that looked, that's what this kind of reminded me of. It didn't seem like it was that big of a step up from him fighting a man in a lizard suit in the 60s on a distributed television.
Right.
Horrible effect. I'm right there with you. It was an embarrassment to special effects in the 80s. That's how bad that was.
You're right. That's exactly how it felt. It felt like something from the 60s that was pulpy and not great then.
Absolutely. I want to point out that even though we're making fun of the wizard's outfit and stuff like that, the actor that plays him is actually really well known in a lot of different sci-fi and fantasy stuff. The actor was Pat Roach. And Jenna, for example, the actor was so afraid of Pat Roach because he stayed in character the entire time on set. So the teen princess did not hang out with him at all. I didn't get any feelings that it was that he was being a creep. It's just that he was fucking creepy as the wizard. And he also plays General Kale in Willow. And a couple of other, he was in the Indiana Jones series as a couple of, bad guys, I think.
Oh, he was the big Nazi guy on the plane that he fights, and he was also, if it's the guy I'm thinking of, he was the Nazi guy who he fights in Raiders, who gets knocked into the propeller, and then he was also the big guy that he fights in Temple of Doom on the conveyor belt that ends up getting crushed. That guy played both of those characters. Yeah,
he's 6'5", 275 pounds, ex-professional wrestler. His nickname was Big Pat Roach. So you keep saying the big guy that did this, the big guy that did that. And I'm like, that seems like it kind of fits. So, as much as we're making fun of the special effects, I think Pat Roach did a great job. And the fact that the wizard in Conan the Destroyer and General Kale in Willow are the same guy, like, that's some pretty good chopping acts, actually. That's some pretty good acting chops.
That's a pretty good chopping axe you got there, buddy.
He's doing a good job with that piece of wood. Yeah, those are some good acting chops. He's obviously knows how to embody these different roles pretty well.
Hold on, screech, record scratch, pause. Was that an actual slip of the tongue, or did you say that?
Yes. No, I did not mean to say that.
What a fantastic slip of the tongue, because it still works. It's just not what you're talking about. What a fantastic!
You did a great chopping act.
What a fantastic chopping axe you have.
I was. My mom used to do those, all the bingle gels, and grab a dog of bag food. Grab a dog of bag food. Are we feeding bags? You know what I mean.
Hello, dear listener. Keith here.
Hey, it's us at Screen Share and Chill, and we're just asking that if you like us and you like to listen to us, that maybe you decide this time that you want to subscribe to us and download us and do the same every week. You know, that would help our algorithm and help us get us out to more people, and we'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, the almighty algorithm, always.
Praise the algorithm. You know what else helps? Sharing us with your friends. Do you have friends that like the things that you do? Want to make your friends cooler? Well, then share our podcast with them. If you do not share us with your friends, then I will set myself on fire in your front lawn and cause
self-immolation.
Yeah, self-immolation. If you don't, that's just the way that I roll.
When we got the note to make this ad campaign a little bit stronger, I don't know, this is, but yeah, I mean, if it gets them listening, I'm down for it.
Research has shown that if you don't share with your friends, then you will be infinitely cooler than your friends, and then your friends will all have to stop hanging out with you, and you will be all alone in your house.
That sounds like you're incentivizing them to become cooler by not sharing. So
And after you like and subscribe and you download it and you share with your friends, you probably want to talk about it. Maybe one of the reasons why you listen to us is because maybe you agree with us. Maybe you disagree with us. Maybe you're like, man, that Kelly guy, he sure has a cool sounding voice, but he's got some shitty opinions. Well, feel free to tell me. And one of the ways you can tell us is like, we got a Blue Sky account, we got an Instagram account, we got a Facebook account, Discord server. We're having conversations with everybody every week. You can find us even on YouTube and leave comments there. I don't know if that's the best place to have a civilized conversation, but hey, let's try to be a first. Maybe we have a cordial, wholesome conversation on YouTube. I think that would be pretty cool.
Cordial, wholesome conversation on any social media would probably be a first.
You could maybe happen on Blue Sky.
Maybe. Yeah. Blue Sky is pretty cool.
The legend has it that there are places on the internet where people are just nice to each other and they just enjoy things that they like.
Review us. It doesn't take long to move your thumb around on your phone, because that's probably where you're streaming us from, right? Because it's 2025. Give us that review. 5 stars. It's easy and it costs you nothing. If you actually type some words into your review, we will read it. Say whatever you want to say about us. Curse us.
Whoa. I don't know if that's... I don't know if I agree.
No.
Maybe. There's enough money attached to it, possibly.
This is the contract. You say whatever you want to say within reason in your review, and we'll read it.
Okay. As long as we can say within reason. Yeah. We can legally bend that to mean whatever we want at the time. So I like that contract.
We might be fighting over reading some of those reviews if you're like agreeing with, say, Keith on Star Wars movies over Kelly, or telling Kelly how amazing Lady Hawk is and how everybody else has it wrong.
If you don't agree with me on Star Wars movies, we don't want your review.
Well, most of them I do, but we'll save it for the pod.
Speaking of money, all the ways that you can actually help us out with some money, you could go to Ko-Fi and rent us a movie or force us to watch a movie and review a movie that you want to make us watch.
Yeah. I really want someone to do it.
Oh, I can't wait for the first person to do that, right? To force us to watch something. I'm curious if it's going to be something serious or if it's going to be something like, haha, fuck you guys, you have to watch Reefer Madness or something.
That's what I hope for. I hope it's something that we absolutely hate and can really tear apart, so please give us that.
If y'all keep making me watch some of these movies, I might have to pay to make you watch something awful.
I guarantee you it's going to be somebody that has a movie that they really like, but they don't tell us that in the message, right. And then we review it and we just fucking shit all over it, and it turns out that...
They paid us money for like some kind of weird Dom experience where we
Fin Dom. We could just skip all this and call you names and you just forward us the money. That's fine.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, this is the best movie ever, and we're gonna be like, this movie is awful, and we know you made us watch it because it's so awful, and they're gonna be crying in the corner.
But you can force us to read a message on the air. We can play a recorded message, again, within reason. If you record something and send it to us for the right amount of money, we will play it on the air. And also, do you have like a small business or a podcast of your own or something like that you'd like to advertise? Well, we can get your message to literal dozens of people.
There are dozens of us.
No joke.
How dare he! Oh, stop booing. There's nothing wrong with it. There are dozens of us.
Dozens.
Research has shown that those podcasts that don't put ads in their own podcast are 47% less likely to encounter double negativities in 13% of... you know the deal. Thanks for listening. All right, so a couple other bads. Who's got the next one?
Uglies. We're on ugly.
Oh yeah, the ugly. Sorry, who's got another ugly for us?
How about the thief feeling up Grace Jones's thigh? That was.
How about just the thief in general? Can we just shoot him into the sun, please? His character is stupid.
You're stupid.
Yeah. I think the character was, if it was in the hands of a capable actor that I liked better, the writing of him would have been fine. But just that guy is so bland. He's like. I don't know.
Me. Yeah.
It's
like, shut up.
As in, close your mouth and stop talking.
He also very much looks like an 80s villain. Like you would see in a John Hughes movie. Like, he doesn't fit
And he has no, even if we look at it just beyond like the way he was portrayed, sorry to the actor, I'm sure he might be a nice guy or whatever, but I don't like the way this is portrayed. But even just on the text, he's just a shitty fucking person.
Mm-hmm.
Name me one positive thing this person does throughout the whole fucking movie. There might be one time that he like slides something to somebody when they need it or something, but he doesn't risk himself for others. He doesn't do anything heroic. He's constantly stealing from people, lying to people, trying to sexually assault people. Like, what are you doing, bro?
I think the one good thing that I have to say about the character is that he stopped after 5 minutes of holding his hand on Grace Jones's thigh when she was explicit about how she didn't want this. That's the best that character has to offer.
That might have just been self-preservation, my friend.
Yeah,
you know?
Right, yeah. Someone was doing his voice, and it was like a blend of the original Igor from Frankenstein and like Ren from Ren and Stimpy. Is someone gonna stay and watch the horses?
Yeah, and he was just, it's grating on the ears, and he's annoying, he's not likable, he's just a creeper, I don't know.
Tell us what you really think, Cal.
I think he was the worst fucking part of this whole fucking movie, in my opinion, and the whole movie would have been better off without him in it at all. He didn't do anything important to me.
Have to agree with you.
Another one of my uglies, the straight spear toss. If you remember the scene where, who is it, Bombada throws a spear? Somebody throws a spear, and it's obviously on a fucking wire, and it just goes straight out of his hand and I'm like, has anybody in this movie actually seen somebody throw an object? There's a curve. Gravity, my friend. Gravity is a real fucking thing that we can observe in our universe. How did you miss it? How did you get to the age where you're making a movie and you haven't experienced gravity yet? Have you floated off into space?
Gravity's not real.
So I thought it was a horrible effect, and I rolled my eyes so much that I think they're still looking at the back of my skull right now.
My eyes were rolling too much to catch that one.
I think I pointed out before, but the casting or the costuming choice of trying to keep Arnold naked throughout the entire movie, it falls into my ugly category for the record. Mm-hmm. So just throwing that out there.
Except when he's, like Jamie said, suddenly in khakis for certain scenes.
I would say they're buckskin. I would give the credit that those are probably buckskin, supposed to be buckskin pants.
They probably had a contract with Mattel Toys that they had to release 2 different versions of them so that they could make 2 different. It could be something stupid like that, because this movie doesn't make any sense why they do anything else. So why would they?
One of my uglies, and we kind of already hit on it, is the whole let's sexualize the child, and wrapping that up with her kissing Arnold at the end. The fact that she was 15 and kissing Arnold really grossed me out. Really, really grossed me out.
He was 37. He's 37.
I didn't know she was 15, so I didn't have that in my
I knew
note,
that she looked young enough that I looked it up, because I was like, that makes me uncomfortable. And then I looked up her age, because I thought I gave credit, because a lot of times actors look a lot younger than they are. So I was like, well, that made me really uncomfortable. Maybe she was at least of age. Nope, she was 15.
Thank God it wasn't like a passionate open mouth kiss.
Right. Yes.
Like
he doesn't really respond much to it. He kind of, so like also she filmed another.
But it's the putting the actress into that position at all. It was gross.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and just to give you an idea of how Hollywood was treating this actor at this point, she was also in another movie. I think it was right after this. She was still 15 at the filming of that with Bo Derek, where she had full nudity in the movie at 15.
Yeah.
So, that Hollywood was not treating this young lady with the highest ethical standards. In her first 2 big films back to back, she was sexualized in a very inappropriate way. My last ugly is the fact that, according to a lot of experts, and you can see it, this movie single-handedly killed the sword and sorcery genre for a long while.
Yep.
That sucks. As a fan of fantasy and somebody that was growing up, like, I noticed the dearth. I noticed the absence of these movies. That's why I glommed onto Army of Darkness. Ash was the first hero I had fighting medieval fantasy enemies in a while, since Conan the Destroyer and Willow and shit.
Isn't it crazy how the first one, like, inspired and informed so much that would come after it, but the second one comes in and shut it down until things could pick up and be inspired by the first one? Like,
And just like you said, it's probably all due to like the studio meddling when you don't need let the cooker cook, let the chef cook his meal.
And isn't it shitty that it was something that inspired so much, and the studios were all like, yes, let's build off of this, and then the studio fucks around with it, screws it up, and then they're like, nope, no more. Like, who caused it? You fucked it up.
For the record, the studio did want to come back and redo and do a third Conan, and Arnold said, no, I'm not interested in doing that. He's the one that backed out of the deal. And then years later now, like I said, he wants to do it again to finish off with Conan the Conqueror, to finally see him become king of his, the promise he was kingdomed. But, any other uglies?
That covers my uglies.
Yeah, I'm all fresh out of uglies.
Before we get to where we actually are going to rate it, we have a couple of questions to ask ourselves about this movie.
Oh, hey.
First off...
Wait, Kelly.
What?
Are you going to answer that?
Oh, I was hoping you guys couldn't hear this. I guess I've got to. Hold on. Hello? Oh, okay. All right, we have I'm going to put this call on, if you guys are okay with this.
Another caller. All right, it's interesting. 2 for 2.
We like audience participation.
Hello?
Jamie, why are you talking about my movie my friend's movie like this? You don't respect the work of all these actors and creators. They made something incredible for you, and you're just shitting on it.
Welcome.
That will not stay. I sent you a letter.
Apparently, even your friend didn't like it.
I sent you a letter from my lawyers. My lawyers had something to say to you. Just be happy
I didn't get the letter. Kelly intercepted it, so I didn't see it.
First of all,
I just find this defaming is incredible and it's horrible, and I find all of you detestable. Kelly seems to be the only one who really appreciates the work that we put in here.
Welcome back, Al. Thank you for calling. First of all,
yeah, fuck you.
Whoa. Okay. Hey, man. Look. I like the first one. Okay. You don't need to come at me with that sort of heat.
I respected this one more.
I'm sorry, I had a double shot of espresso this morning, and it went right to my bowels, and it's making me look crazy. I'm sorry.
Did you say it went right to your balls?
My bowels, it's where you shit from, you idiot.
Okay. All right, just wanted to clear that up. It's a little hard to understand you. Maybe the line is not so...
Listen, this is racist. This is not appropriate to be speaking to me in this way. I'm an American citizen. My friend was governor of California, and he knows exactly how to speak in the correct American accent.
Of course. I can only, so, it sounds like you must have spent a lot of time together, because his speaking inflection seems to have rubbed off on you a bit.
Let's just say we grew up together. We're very good friends. he did a lot of great work, and yes, you're correct. This movie was meddled by the studios. They took a shit right on the incredible work of all these incredible people. Robert Howard made an incredible character, Conan. They don't even pronounce it correctly. It's not Conan. It's Conan. Conan. How many times do you have to fucking say it? Conan.
Do you think, with your insight, that this movie was actually a better movie before the studio came in and interfered with it?
Listen, I wrote a script. My friend wrote a script that was incredible. It really went into the inner workings of Conan as a man. How many different people, how many different types of sex he'd like to have with different women, and the different positions he liked to try. It was not very family friendly. They didn't like it. But this one was complete bullshit. But you all should still watch it. The royalties still matter. We still get paid for this stuff. I mean, my friend gets paid.
Are you like a paid spokesman for your friend? Is that why you just said we get paid?
No. I'm a cobbler from Wisconsin. I make shoes. I'm just a very big friend and fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger and the movies that he's created. He's done incredible work.
Kelly is a big fan. Kelly, do you have a message you'd like to maybe get Al here to relay to your one of your superstars in your life?
I just think it would be incredible to actually have Arnold himself on an episode. I mean, we could have both Al and Arnold on. I mean, together at some point even. But either way, if you just pass along, I'm a huge fan of almost every movie. I mean, everybody has their weak moments, but I mean, he's informed a generation of action stars, and he created Conan into the character that we all.
Very good that you use the proper name. I appreciate this, and because of this sign of respect, I will tell him what you said. And I can guarantee that he appreciates your vote of confidence. And remember, if he ever does run for president, remember to vote for him.
I don't know if that's possible or even legal based on the Constitution.
Well, like that matters anymore.
Yes, have you not been watching the news? This is incredible what we're seeing. Anyways, as I spoke, it's very nice talking to you. Jamie, be nice to Conan. He's been nice to you, and you need to treat him with respect.
Well, he was really aggressive today.
He seems to be aggressive every time we have him. That's why I didn't want to answer it. I was hoping you guys wouldn't bring it up, but hey, at least we get some insider information. We were right. The studios did meddle with it a little bit too much, and they kind of fucked it up. And apparently, Arnold, from what we've heard through the grapevine, was not a big fan of how it all turned out.
Yeah, it kind of makes me feel sorry for Al's friend Arnold that things turned out that way, because I think I would have liked a competent Conan trilogy, but as we all know, that just did not happen.
I would have liked a competent Conan trilogy too, but it needed to start with the first movie.
So let's talk about our 3 questions. We start with what would be the popcorn bucket for this movie.
This one's easy. It's the little skull statue of Dagoth with the mouth that slides open, and you reach in and get your popcorn.
Horn or no horn, though.
Okay. Mine was a little bit more personal. I wanted the thief's head, like just a decapitated head of the thief.
Fair play.
Yeah, but they can only make one of those, so.
Yeah, we can pretend.
But listen, people. It's clear as day. The sliding, moving mouth of the fish god idol statue thing.
It's the Ice Palace.
It practically makes itself. That's what you get your drink in, Jamie. Is the Ice Palace?
It's like a drink fountain shaped like the Ice Palace.
There you go. Yeah.
With the marketing for this movie, they should have gone all out. That was the problem.
Excuse me, did you say Ice Phallus?
I said Ice Palace.
Okay, just checking.
I think. I mean, we will roll the tape back if I didn't. But
can we roll the tape back? It really sounded like Phallus.
Shaped like the Ice Palace. Either you sound like you're having a Freudian slip, or I do. One of the two of us just had one.
Not sure which one of you is thinking about it more.
Editing Kelly, please be kind. Editing Kelly, you look so handsome today.
Freudian slipping back and forth.
I chihuahuas.
Our next question. If this movie was populated by entirely Muppets, but one of the characters remained a human, who would be the human?
Grace Jones.
Yes.
This time
yes.
It's Grace Jones.
Oh, yes, that would, I mean, there's no denying that it would be funny if you made Arnold Conan, and then everybody else was a Muppet, and he was just slaughtering fucking Muppets everywhere he went. That would be kind of funny.
It kind of
every time he swings a sword, a Muppet goes flying like 50 yards away.
It's better in this one, because I think we had said one of the same things, like seeing Conan as a Muppet in itself would be funny. Mm-hmm. And this one lends itself to that even more, because you have the wonderful Grace Jones as the only human being.
So Gonzo is the thief then?
Yep.
Unfortunately. I'm sorry, Gonzo, but you get this unfortunate role.
Kermit's little nephew can play Jenny, or whatever her name was.
Oh,
Jenna? Yeah.
Jenna. I was thinking Miss Piggy.
Oh, no, wait, what's her name?
No, Miss Piggy is obviously the evil sorceress.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What's her name? Janet,
Janice.
Come on, you guys. Like, hey, wow,
she's Jenna.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
I really want the scene now of Gonzo rubbing paste on Grace Jones' thigh.
Yes, it's and like just looking down at that and looking up at her and looking down at that and looking up at her.
And looking at yeah. Are you fucking kidding me right now, you little puppet? Like, what are you doing?
He'd be like, you kind of remind me of a chicken.
Would you mind if I put some feathers in your hair?
yeah, that's great. Wonderful.
Face the other direction for me. It's easier.
Oh my God.
This is what it's like to do a podcast with 12-year-old boys.
Have we tried hair up, glasses on?
yeah. That's great.
Okay, so who is your MVP for this movie? It doesn't have to be a character, could be an actor, could be a set designer, could be anything. Who's your MVP of Conan the Destroyer?
For me, it's Dagoth.
Oh, that's good. Like the character, the embodiment, and all that, all the animatronics and shit.
Literally everything around it. Old god, the kaiju rubber slimy monsterness of it, the fact that it's uncredited Andre the Giant. Dagoth is my MVP. It kind of saves the climax of the movie from being a complete shit show.
Does. It sure does, yeah.
So
that's a good one. Dagoth. I like that. I would not have picked that, but yeah, a good pick. What about you, Jamie?
Grace Jones' faces, like through the whole movie.
Oh, yes.
The faces that she makes for everything. Though that is my MVP. So, what about you, Cal?
Grace Jones, just in general. She didn't have a whole lot to do in this movie, but she gave this movie so much more fun character than anybody else on screen. Her and Conan were the main things that I liked about this movie. Even though Conan has some cheesy lines, I like the drunk scenes and stuff like that. Just like I like, even though I don't like the thief and his rubbing of her thigh scene, but I loved her response to it. You know, that showed me how, you know, how many kids did that show? Like, women don't have to be meek, that the way they're portrayed in a lot of other fantasy literature and stuff like that. So I really appreciate it. And it seems like that's kind of a tradition, even though we correctly point out that Conan has a lot of inherent sexism and misogyny in it. It seems like having women that are at least physically strong that can stand up against men is something that is a through line through the series that we've seen. So, all right. So now we've answered all the little questions and side between questions and the maybes and the ifs and the has-beens. So now the big question of the night is: did you like the movie and would you give it a thumbs up?
You really want to do this? Here. Now, yes. Okay, let's do it!
Yes, it's not my strongest thumbs up, but I didn't dislike the movie, so I guess technically that means a thumbs up. I had some fun with it, but man, what a drop off from the first one, if we're being honest. Like, I give it my thumbs up because technically I can't give it anything else except for a thumbs down. Not the greatest movie.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
What about you, Jamie?
This is like the Robin Hood Men in Tights version of Indiana Jones movies to me. I respect it a little more than I did the first one because it does lean into the camp and pulp of it all. But it's still a thumbs down. It's not as down as the first one for me, but it is still a thumbs down. I will never watch this again.
Womp womp. Yeah, I was not expecting anything different from you, so I know. I mean,
it was the best movie ever, and you guys have been like, "What?"
And I mean that, with all due respect. Like, if you didn't like the first movie, this was the weakest of the two. So,
What about you, Kelly?
I don't know. Yeah, I'd still give it a thumbs up. It's going to be very similar to Keith's thoughts. That this is kind of one of the lowest thumb up ratings I can give. Just because it's the last entry in a franchise with a beloved character and there are some good moments in it, and I would rather have this in my life than not have it. But I can also envision a future where they did this movie differently and it didn't kill a fucking genre that I absolutely adore. So I almost want to give it a thumbs down just on the principle of you ruined something that mattered to me.
Right.
But I guess if I'm going to err on one side or the other, it's going to be it's the lowest thumbs up I can possibly give it.
Yeah, so. Completely unenthusiastic thumbs up.
Yep, absolutely. And if somebody gives it a thumbs down, I will agree with you. Like that's how weak-willed my position is on this. So,
yeah.
So yeah, that was the Conan franchise, and we've finished out. I was nice enough to give you all a franchise with 2 movies. Only one. It was 50% good. So hopefully our next pick is even better. But we're going to discuss that more in our next episode, where we're going to talk a little bit more about some other stuff. It'll be we'll let you know what we're talking about as we get a little bit closer. But it should be interesting. I think you all enjoy it. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we start to sign off?
I'm so glad we're done.
Grace Jones' character was afraid of rats. That was kind of funny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's, does not fear anything except for fucking rats. And, yeah. She was a good actor, too. She sold it well. I wanted to go help her, and I'm like, no, she probably punched me. So.
Absolutely, she would.
How much did that inform my choices in romance partners in the future? I like women that look dangerous and they're going to hurt me. All right. Well, anyways, we enjoyed watching this movie, and we want to make sure that you don't forget to reach out to us on social media, on Blue Sky, on Discord, on Instagram, on Facebook, on ko-fi.com/screenshare, where you can force us to watch a movie. You can make us say words that you'd like. You can even just straight up buy an ad for a small business or adventure that you're looking to take on.
You can pay me to say I like Conan.
Hey, give us a review, too. How about that?
You could pay me to say I like Conan. You absolutely could. I agree with that statement. I'm so happy we're on the same page, Jamie. But yeah, anyways, for Screen Share and Chill, I'm Kelly.
I'm Keith.
I'm Jamie.
We'll see you later. Have a good one.
Bye.
Crush your enemies.
Let weird thieves rub your thighs.
Let Gonzo rub your thighs, though. That would be fun.
Don't let Gonzo rub your thighs.
I'm going to call the police. You go ahead, call them. Call anybody you want. They can't do anything to me. Not anymore. And nor can any of you. You go ahead, call them. Call anybody you want. They can't do